نسألك الأمان 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 يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. أنت المولى وأنا العبد، وهل يرحم العبد إلا المولى. أنت المالك وأنا المملوك، وهل يرحم المملوك إلا المالك. أنت العزيز وأنا الذليل، وهل يرحم الذليل إلا العزيز. أنت الخالق وأنا المخلوق، وهل يرحم المخلوق إلا الخالق. وهل يرحم المخلوق إلا الخالق. مولاي مولاي يا مولاي، مولاي 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 يا مولاي، مولاي يا مولاي. أنت العظيم وأنا الحقير، وهل يرحم الحقير إلا العظيم. أنت القوي وأنا الضعيف، وهل يرحم الضعيف إلا القوي. أنت الغني وأنا الفقير، وهل يرحم الفقير إلا الغني. أنت المعطي وأنا السائل، وهل يرحم السائل إلا المعطي. وهل يرحم السائل إلا المعطي.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now with the main headlines. Shia pilgrims to commemorate the martyrdom of anniversary of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam in the holy city of Samarra in Iraq. On the International Day for Education, Shirazi Foundation sends a message to support Afghan girls and women. World Human Organization urges immediate action after deaths from children's cough syrups. International non-violence organizations condemns targeting of journalists in Yemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers. You're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3. The Askariyin Holy Shrine announced the security and service plan for the coming pilgrimage on the commemoration of the martyrdom of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam, with the participation of all departments concerned in providing services to pilgrims, supporting government agencies and voluntary organizations. The Holy Shrine confirmed that it prepared a service, health and security plan in which the best services will be provided to the honourable pilgrims during the pilgrimage. As the departments of the Holy Shrine proceeded with the plans drawn for each section in coordination with all supporting bodies, from the government's ministries of security, health and service, the Shia Endowment Office, the Holy Shrine's volunteer organizations in Baghdad and the provinces and service health departments in Samarra and security forces. It is noteworthy that the Holy Shrine has begun receiving honourable pilgrims to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam, which is tomorrow Thursday, corresponding to the 3rd of the month of the Holy Rajab. On the International Day for Education, Shirazi Foundation sends a message to support Afghan girls and women. More details on the following report.
On the International Day of Education for Afghan girls and women, Shirazi Foundation sent a message to the international community affirming its solidarity with them by returning to their studies in schools and universities, as it is a human right. The foundation in its message, which Shia Waves agency obtained a copy of, stated, "The General Assembly of the United Nations and its affirmation of importance of education as an authentic human right, in addition to being a responsibility, declared January 24th of each year an International Day of Education to celebrate its role in peace and development." The foundation added that everyone agrees on the importance of science in the progress of the nations, but few realize the dimensions of the educational process in the path of development. It emphasized the importance of promoting life skills, such as the ability to make balanced decisions, resolve conflicts responsibly, critical thinking, creative talents, and abilities that provide the child with the necessary tools to achieve what he chooses in life, for the benefit of all humanity in what is called today the concept of quality education. The foundation warned that narrow-mindedness and isolation from the development and society are among the most dangerous things facing education and hinder its quality. It leads to the imbalance of awareness of the surroundings out of ignorance or neglect, without paying attention to the repercussions of these dangerous steps in the future. In its message, the foundation added, "On this day, we recall UNESCO's declaration of dedicating the International Day of Education this year, 2023, to celebrate Afghan girls and women who suffer from the most severe forms of injustice and oppression by the Taliban authorities, who deprive them of their most basic rights to education as a result of their erroneous understanding of the teachings of Islam, which did not distinguish between men and women in seeking knowledge, as stated in the noble verses and authentic hadiths." The foundation pointed out that this matter requires all scholars and those in charge of religious affairs to take the initiative to assume their religious, moral, and humanitarian responsibility by exerting pressure on the de facto authorities in Afghanistan to return to their senses and put an end to their practices that are far from the tolerant message of Islam. The foundation reaffirmed its full support for the immediate restoration of Afghan girls and women's natural right to education, and the allocation of the first panel discussion to the issue of girls and women's education in Afghanistan.
The World Health Organization urgently appealed for countries to prevent, detect and respond to cases of subtracted and falsified medical products, citing recent reports of instances of children's cough syrups with confirmed or suspected contamination. Over the past 4 months, countries have reported on several incidents of over-the-counter cough syrups for children with confirmed or suspected contamination with high levels of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol, said the World Health Organization. The cases are from at least 7 countries associated with more than 300 fatalities in 3 of these countries. The World Health Organization said most fatalities are young children aged less than 5. Among the countries cited by the World Health Organization are Gambia, Indonesia and Uzbekistan. The World Health Organization called on regulators and government to detect and remove from their respective markets and any substandard medical products identified in the World Health medical alerts as potential causes of death and disease. The World Health Organization also called on manufacturers of medicines to only purchase pharmaceutical-grade acceptance from qualified and bona fide suppliers and to conduct comprehensive testing of supplies before use in manufacturing finished products. Let us remind our respective viewers of today's headlines. Shia pilgrims to commemorate the martyrdom of anniversary of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam in the holy city of Samarra in Iraq. On the International Day of Education, Shirazi Foundation sends us message to support Afghan girls and women. World Health Organization urges immediate action after deaths from children's cough syrups. Also tonight, Shia Rights Watch organization calls on Saudi authorities to release Sheikh al-Khuwaylidi. The international non-violence organization Free Muslim has expressed its strong condemnation of the intimidation and threats to which some journalists are suspected into in Yemen, calling on all Yemeni parties to work to ensure the safety and security of journalists. In a statement received by Shia Waves agency, the organization called on the parties involved in the disappearance of some journalists to immediately release them all, as well as to stop attempts to harass and silence people, warning of the seriousness of the violations committed against members of this group that serve the country. This statement stressed that the targeting of journalists represents a violation and a crime that violates international norms and laws, and the perpetrators will be subject to local and international law sooner or later. In the same context, the organization called on the conflicted parties over power in Yemen to release those who were revealed to have been arrested because of their journalistic activities and to drop all sentences and charges that were leveled against them, and reporting the circumstances of the war and accompanying any crimes or mistakes, since what they have done is at the heart of their humanitarian work, regardless of the party who is behind it. The orphanage of Sayyidah Fatimat al-Zahra alayhi salam complex, which is affiliated to the Supreme Religious Authority in Kabul, Afghanistan, distributed the monthly aid to the families of orphans and the needy. The aid distributed to them included financial grants and baskets of basic foodstuffs. The aid was distributed to approximately 170 orphan families, in addition to the families of the honorable martyrs. Madagascar. Office of Grand Ayatollah Shirazi provides relief to for people affected by heavy rains. The director of the Shirazi Authority Office in the city of Magunga, Republic of Madagascar, said that the trained people, the office rushed to provide relief to the poor Shia families in the city after heavy rains prevented them from leaving their homes. Hujjat al-Islam wal-Muslimin Sheikh Muhammad Radhi Wasram said in a statement to Shia Waves agency that during the past week the city of Magunga witnessed heavy rains which prevented people from leaving their homes to seek their living. He continued, the office of the Supreme Religious Authority, His Eminence the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq al-Hussein Shirazi Damadullah dispatched trained people to the poor families, carrying with them necessary foodstuffs to provide relief to these families in these exceptional circumstances. A human rights group and 16 people from Myanmar have filed a criminal complaint in Germany seeking punishment of Myanmar's generals for genocide, war crimes against humanity they alleged were committed in the country after their 2021 government takeover and during a 2017 crackdown on Muslim Rohingya. Fortify Rights, a complaint in the case announced Tuesday in Bangkok, noted the individuals responsible for crimes related to both have yet to be held accountable. The Federal Prosecutor's Office in Germany, where the legal complaint was filed last Friday, declined to comment on it. The office would have to decide whether to file an incident before the matter can go to court, potentially a lengthy process. About 740,000 Rohingya fled for safety into neighboring Bangladesh after their villages were burned and they became targets for mass rape and murder. The military is accused of carrying out similar atrocities against people throughout Myanmar who opposed the 2021 army takeover and sought a return to democracy, finally taking up arms when the peaceful protests were squashed by deadly force. Taliban movement has attributably detained nearly 2,000 people in Afghanistan since it returned to power in August 2021. According to a report by the report stated that among the detainees are mainly former government employees, female demonstrators, human rights defenders, civil society activists, journalists, and religious scholars. The report was prepared by Arwa Dari, a newly formed human rights group whose executive director is Shahrazad Akbar, the former head of Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission. For its part, Taliban authorities have not yet responded to the report, but the group has ignored similar reports issued by the United Nations, describing them as mere propaganda. Egyptian archaeologists working in the historic city of Luxor have unearthed a residential city dating back to the Roman rule of Egypt, 640 CE. The country's highest antiques authority announced on Tuesday the unearthed city is believed to have been the extension of the ancient city of Thebes, according to a statement by Mustafa al-Waziri, a Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiques. Thebes was one of the most largest and prominent cities in ancient Egypt, whose remains modern-day Luxor now sits among the finds were the remains of several homes and 2 pigeon housing towers that the team believes date back to the 2nd or 3rd century. According to this council statement, the remains of several workshops for the manufacture and smelting of metals were also unearthed. Found within the workshops were a number of pots, water kettles, flasks, pottery, and Roman coins made of copper and bronze. Shia Rights Watch organization has expressed its strong condemnation of the Saudi authorities' arrest of the Shia cleric Sheikh Hassan al-Khuwailidi, calling for his immediate release. In an important statement received by Shia Waves agency, the organization said that it had been informed of human rights testimonies confirming that the security authorities arrested the scholar Sheikh al-Khuwailidi days ago without any legal justification or a specific charge. The organization concerned that the arrest raid represent a flagrant and violent and a brutal assault on one of the symbols of moderation and tolerance in Saudi Arabia. And what happened is an irresponsible given the status of Sheikh al-Khuwailidi, calling for the preservation of civil peace and social stability inside and outside of Saudi Arabia. It emphasized that this arrest represents a blow to the parties calling for the reunification of violence and peaceful coexistence, and the foolishness that reflects the ignorance of some of the parties responsible for state security, pointing out that this matter necessitates the intervention of the higher authorities to settle the matter and the release of Sheikh al-Khuwailidi sooner or later. France has repatriated 15 women and 32 children who were held in detention camps designated for former members of the terrorist organization of ISIS in northern eastern Syria. According to the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the minors have been handed over to child care services and will be subject to medical and social follow-up. The ministry said in a statement, adding that adults have been handed over to the competent judicial authorities. On October 20, 2022, it repatriated 15 French women and 40 children who were being held in camps in northeastern Syria, in the largest operation of this kind that France had carried out so far. The United Nations Committee Against Torture concluded that France was violating the Convention Against Torture by refusing to return women and children detained in camps in Syria, because it is obligated to them to protect them. Cambridge Public Schools is now the first public school district in New England to establish sacred spaces for students and staff members. ABC Boston reported the prayer spaces are accessible throughout the year for those who observe spiritual or religious practices that may require regular prayer, and many other school districts allow daily prayer during the Muslim holiday of Ramadan. But the district says that as equity and inclusivity are cherished values, prayer spaces should be accessible throughout the year. When the Muslim community group came to me, they said, we don't just pray during Ramadan. We like to also adhere to our daily requirements of prayer 5 times a day, said Manuel J. Fernandez, Chief Equity Officer of the Cambridge Public Schools. Each prayer space also has a prayer rug for those who wish to use them. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our viewers of today's headlines. Shia pilgrims to commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam in the holy city of Samarra, Iraq. On the International Day for Education, Shirazi Foundation sends a message to support Afghan girls and women. World Health Organization urges immediate action after deaths from children's cough syrups. International Non-Violence Organization condemns targeting journalists in Yemen. Shia Rights Watch organization calls on Saudi authorities to release Sheikh al-Khawaylidi. Following UN criticism, France repatriates 47 children and women detained in camps in Syria. Cambridge Public Schools establish sacred places for students and staff to pray. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can also send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. We pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم إني أسألك الأمان